everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Savannah again. So I started reading this book called The Game of Life. It's a book that my dad lent to me like 2 days ago, and a lot of the times when he lends me books, I'll just kind of push them aside, and that's just because I already have so many things I'm reading. But for some reason, I decided to pick it up, and it immediately caught my attention just with the way that it is written. You'd expect it to be very like playful and like, oh, this is the game of life, but it's actually very spiritual and very connected to logic as well as spirituality, as well as actual religious texts and quotes. So the author is Florence Scovel Shinn, and she references Jesus Christ quite a bit. If you know me, I'm not really religious. I'm spiritual, and I like to study about spirituality. I like to study about the different bits of different religions just so that I can incorporate them into my own perspective, into my own spiritual awareness. But I personally am not. In this book, however, she tends to refer to God and Jesus Christ. And again, I have an open mind to it, and I'm actually very interested in its application in this context. So I was reading this book while I was waiting to get my Texas license, actually. It was a 45-minute wait, sitting and waiting to get my license. And then I talked to this guy that was actually really nice and who helped me out with my license. But anyways, and I came up on this chapter. What's nice about it is it slowly builds up and gets you more and more excited about playing the game of life and trying out these different tactics and building different perspectives of your life. So I feel like as you read through it, eventually you come across the chapter that is specifically calling out to you. And for me, this chapter was Casting the Burden, Impressing the Subconscious. And this one really hit home for me. So the very first paragraph, when man knows his own powers and the workings of his mind, his great desire is to find an easy and quick way to impress the subconscious with good, for simply an intellectual knowledge of the truth will not bring results. So basically, just because you know what the truth is, just because you know what you want, doesn't mean that you're going to get what you want. It doesn't mean that it's going to bring forth the truth on a silver platter, because that's not how things work. Rather than just knowing truth and intellectually holding the idea, you also have to impress the feelings that come from having that thing. So for example, recently I have been telling myself that I'm struggling financially, when really I should be impressing the feeling of abundance and replacing the feeling of lack with the feeling of abundance, and having a lot and having everything that I need and being able to live the life that I want, and not just knowing what that is, but knowing how that feels and imagining it and putting it into my subconscious, like this is who I am, this is what I already have. And so that not only am I impressing those things on my mind, I'm impressing those things on my subconscious as well as my world, because the things that I'm bringing into myself and that I'm attracting and that I'm loving and feeling are reflected in the world around me. So from the first sentence of that chapter, I was very quickly invested. They bring up the quote from the 55th Psalm, which is, "Cast thy burden upon the Lord," and then mention that in many passages in the Bible state that the battle is God's, not man's, and that man is always to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. So what that means, and what she later begins to describe, is that we all too often take burdens in life as our own, and we cling to them as if they're personal property, like my anxiety or my depression or my eating disorder or my rape story or my, and again, these are all things that I've gone through, so I'm not trying to call anybody out specifically. But we tend to take these stories in life and cling to them and make them personal, make them ours, when really we should be putting them out into the world as this is something that's happening. This is something that's happened, but not just to me. It's not personal. It's something that happened for me, for my journey, for my enlightenment, for my evolution. And how that comes into play with manifestation, as I'm going to continue to say, is the more things that you hold on to as yours, the more of those like things you're going to attract. So instead, if you release those bad feelings, you release those bad experiences into the world, you let them drift to where they need to go, and you get rid of them, because you're no longer attracting that energy. You're no longer holding it in. You're no longer holding that energy within you, and therefore it has no ties to you. You get to continue to move on and create yourself from a whole different energy, which is what you decide to replace it with. There's an example of a woman who says she doesn't have enough money to get Christmas gifts for her and her family. And Florence tells her that you need to go and you need to buy your wrapping paper and your tinsel and you need to get ready. You need to prepare yourself, open yourself up to the possibility, to the opportunity of receiving that which is coming to you. You need to prepare yourself in faith that abundance is on its way and you need to have something to catch it with. And I thought that was a really great metaphor. That was a really great, not even metaphor, it was a very great story that sets forth a metaphor that we should all think of every day is what can you do to bring the things that you want into your life? What can you do to welcome, rather than holding on to that feeling of lack and detracting the things that you want? The more that you hold on to lack, I don't have enough money, I'm struggling with money, or I don't have enough passion in my life, I am lonely, I need romance, I want, I lack, I don't have. The more you hold on to those things that you don't have, that you don't want, which is that lack, the more of it you're going to get. For example, say you're trying to attract a new relationship into your life. If you go and buy new sheets and new blankets, say, you know what, I've had enough past loves in here, there's a bad energy in here that I need to get out, and so I'm going to get new sheets to welcome my new love into my life. That creates a situation where your subconscious is allowing you to accept the idea of something new into your life and pushing out the idea of something old. Sometimes having physical things like mementos or metaphors, or buying Christmas wrapping paper when you don't have gifts yet, or buying new sheets for you and your new lover, even if your old sheets seem fine, buying your first camera so that you can start making videos for your channel even though you don't know that they're going to bring in money, opens up your mind to the possibility that, hey, maybe this can happen. And rather than limiting yourself to the ideas of there's not enough to go around, I don't have the money, I don't have this, putting your belief in something physical, something tangible that you can see. And so rather than having everything in your head, you have wrapping paper that needs to be filled with gifts. You have new sheets that are ready to be slept in for you and your love. You start to think, oh my God, I'm so excited. Rather than being scared, rather than being hesitant, rather than being restrictive to yourself, you start getting excited for what is next, for what is to come. I'm excited to use these things. And so all these things came to me, and I thought, okay, well, what's one thing that I've really been restricting myself on? Something that would really bring value to my life, and something that could metaphorically be the change, the end-all for all of this lack and for all of this fear and resistance, the prison of my abundance. And I realized for me, I've always wanted to get a ukulele, or an ukulele, depending on who's saying it. And I realized I keep telling myself I can't do this, but musically it's important for my development, having a ukulele just to play around with and then make fun songs, and then I imagine myself singing about my abundance and singing about, wow, look at all this wealth I brought into my life just by getting this thing that makes me so happy that I was able to dive into and learn and appreciate. And in line, while waiting for my license, despite the fear, despite the lack that was trying to hold me back, I went on Amazon and I bought my first ukulele, and I'm excited. It's coming in the mail tomorrow, and I will share it with you guys once I fiddle around with it and learn some things, or start to learn some things. And in that moment, I realized that's been my problem all along, for me personally, and what's the problem for a lot of people too. Can you stop smelling the camera? They can hear that. They can hear you smelling. Come here. Sophie, come here. Sophia, come here. No. Why you are dead weight. You're like, Mommy. And opening up to that kind of abundance is exactly what I did with my Sophia. When I saw her, I didn't even have a home. And I was living with my aunt and my family, and I saw her and I loved her. I wanted to do everything by her. I saw giving her a bed. I saw giving her food and treats, and she was really thin when I first saw her. And there was no option. I didn't give myself the option. And a lot of people give themselves the option to, well, no, I'll make more money in the future, or I'll get a new job in the future, or I'll move into a new more spacious home in the future, I'll get a career that's more fulfilling in the future. because it's not a priority now. And when it's not a priority, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. But with Sophia, when I met her, I had to have her. Like, I fell in love with her. I knew she was my dog. Like, we bonded so much, and the more time we spent together, the more I knew, this is my dog. I need her. And so I did everything I could to impress into my subconscious that she was mine. I would go to her foster, I would drive 30 minutes out of my way, like her foster mom lived like 30 minutes away. I would drive 30 minutes just to pick her up and take her for a walk, and take her to the dog park and bring her back. I would drive 30 minutes just to take her for the day, just to go and have fun with her and go and experience the parks in the area. I would take her to meet my dog. I tried to introduce her to my aunt's dog, but that didn't go very well. And then I started looking for a house, because my dad and I live with my aunt, and we were starting to work towards getting out, but it just wasn't happening yet. So I started looking for houses. My dad and I started looking for different homes. I downloaded Zillow. I started looking for homes, things with a yard that were in a good area for my brother, whatever. But for me, I didn't mind living in my aunt's house. That wasn't the problem. It was that I needed her. I needed Sophie. I needed a place for us to be. So I got to work manifesting not just this dog in my life, but also manifesting the home that we live in now. That is so perfect for both of us, for all of our family. And it looks just how I always pictured it would be. It's open, it's beautiful, it's the perfect size. We can have friends over, a family, there's 2 living rooms. And all of these things happen not because I ask, what can I do right now? What is this a priority? They happen by saying this is a priority, by switching the words and deciding not, it would be nice. No, I need to have this, and I need to have this by a certain point. There's no option about it. And so I'm still reading this book. It's not very long, but I only started it yesterday, and there are a lot of great gems in here that have really opened my mind, but also just it's pleasant to read. It's really nice to read, and there's lots of stories of people who attract abundance into their lives in one way or another, and I think it's a really good thing to read things like that or to watch videos about things like that, because it continues to show you circumstances of people getting abundance and getting out of lack and getting into a better mindset, getting into a better love life, rather than a lot of the TV nowadays is just drama, or a lot of people like to watch videos on failed relationships or breakups, or get into drama with like the Kardashians or whatever, and just get involved in he cheated and she did this and they did that, rather than putting yourself in an environment where you're watching people that already have what you want and learning to become more like those people, so that you can bring that kind of wealth into your own life. Not to be somebody else, but to be yourself with the things that those people have, and to learn those tactics and to learn those skills. My abundance metaphorical ukulele is coming in tomorrow, and I'm so excited because I've always wanted one, and I happen to have exactly enough money in my account for it. So we're making this happen. We're getting in motion, do things that are going to bring great things, bring great energy, bring great opportunity into your life. People, connections, animals, houses, and let go of lack. Let yourself bring in immense abundance, and you'll have it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I know it was kind of different. I know it was kind of different from what I've been posting recently, but just let me know what you think about it. I really enjoy sharing gems that I find like this one in books that I read, because a lot of the times, for example, when I looked at this book, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to read it. I picked it up, I read it, and it really did do something great for me. Sometimes books can be daunting. You look at them and you're like, oh my god, that's a whole lot of content. Like, what am I going to get out of that? And if you are directed in the right direction, you will find the books that are going to open your mind and give you the most valuable gems. And sometimes you don't feel like reading them and you just want to know what's in them, and so that's another reason why I figured I would make this video for you, so we could learn some more mind-opening tactics together, and you can apply them to your own life as I have been applying them to mine. Other than that, please hit the subscribe button if you would like to receive more videos like this, and if you want to hang out with me and my dog, who has taken off somewhere, probably chasing more squirrels. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, your week, your life, and your existence, and I hope to connect with you guys soon. Bye.